Okay, so that is the library. Public library, and this is a little old Christian church. The Cherryvale Library. Now it's Sunday, August 3rd, 2025. The kind lady running the museum said that she would be here shortly. And that's the museum over there. This is 1904 there. Since 1964. Church over there is called the Hub. Our block. Really neat old town. Cherries. Yeah, I don't know anything about Cherryvale. So we're going to find out, except for the Bender family.
Oh no! Set it up so be careful where you step. Yeah. So, anyways, when they discovered the murders, it was publicized all across the nation. There's New York Times, Chicago, and such, and so people wanted to see the site. So they would ride the train down to Thayer, which is north of here, take a buggy out there, and of course, while they were there, what did they want to do? They wanted to take home a souvenir. So they took home parts of the house.
Oh.
So within 2 years, the house was completely gone.
Yeah.
So here's a picture of the house. In fact, you can already see that the boards are started even on that first day.
They just took the whole board, huh?
Yeah. So
wow.
Grandma's got a board in her garage that came from the vendor somewhere, probably.
So it was basically in Thayer.
Well, no, it's because Thayer's quite a bit farther north, so it was really just like say 3 miles north of here.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so you would take 169.
169 till you get to the junction of 400.
Uh-huh.
Turn and go east on 400, and you'll go 3 miles.
3 miles in that area. What do you know if it was on the left or the right?
It's on the north west, northwest corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a road there that goes?
Yeah. It's a partial road. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's really nothing there other than it's a bean. He's probably got it planted to beans right now. Yeah.
Well, when we pulled in, because I've never been in Cherryvale, I've been by it. It's like I felt like this first time we drove in, we literally just drove in, like I stepped back in time. So what else besides the vendors are you excited about?
Well, I mean, Cherryvale was founded when the railroads came through, and it would have been founded in 1871, and the vendors came in 1871. So when the vendors came, Cherryvale was just started, and it didn't do much but sit here until the 1880s, and they found lots of natural gas, lots and lots of natural gas. So then they marketed that natural gas to we had the largest zinc smelter in the world, and employed about 500 people, and they had their own town, their own grocery store, their own church, their own water stuff. So that was one of the markets that they went to, was a smelter. They also marketed it to glass factories. We were the first glass factory west of Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
And it operated for about 10 to 15 years before the price of gas went up here as the price, as quantities declined. And it was cheap in Oklahoma, so they moved to Oklahoma. And then we had brick factories. They used a lot of natural gas. So we had 6 brick factories here and did about 500,000 bricks a day.
Wow.
And they employed around 500 people with that many brick factories.
About 6
of them. So that's what got Cherryvale started and such. And in its heyday, it was probably about 8,000.
Oh.
It's about 2,200 maybe now, but about 8,000 there. So we used to have businesses downtown.
Yeah.
We used to have a downtown.
Yeah, the beautiful historic buildings.
Yeah.
Do you have any large factories or anything in town now?
We have. I still call it Cobalt, but it's Forte now, and it does your fiberglass bathtubs, that type of thing.
Okay.
But they don't really employ that many. We used to have that. We used to have a printing company, and we had a cabinet factory. But the only thing that's left is that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did the others close recently?
No, they closed probably in the early 90s, maybe even in the 80s. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We do have, not that it employs that many, but they just built a $490 million bean plant south of here, 3 miles south.
A bean
A
plant?
bean plant, processed soybeans
Okay.
for oil and that type of thing. So, but I think it employs about 70 people is all it employs. But yeah, $490 million bean plant sitting down there out in the middle of nowhere. Really.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is a beautiful town. Just from what I've seen, I know it might be closed, but to me, it's beautiful. I've seen a lot of Victorian style.
On Main Street, there's the Victorian homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, the one right across from the school, it's got quite a little story because
Out here?
across here on Main.
Oh, on Main.
Yeah, there's two. There's a gray one on the corner, and then the one right next to it.
Okay.
And they're right across from our grade school. And the second one, it used to sit on the south side of the street.
They moved it?
They moved it because they wanted to build a school there. So they picked it up and moved it and turned it around, no less. I mean, it's a big 2-story house.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now they just tear them down.
Oh, well, yeah. They tear them down.
Well, if they had moved them, they'd fall apart because they're particle board.
Yeah.
Well, they seem to be.
We have a lot of houses that need torn down. That's
Well, everywhere it's like that.
It is.
Yeah.
But, it just seems like you have a nice house, then you'll have a house that's like, oh my gosh, torn down.
Well, can you tell me a short version of the Benders? So the Benders came in 1871.
Right.
And so when did they find out that they were, like, how many people did they murder?
Well, they don't really know for sure. So they came in 1871 and they built a house on what was called the Osage Trail. So it was a popular wagon trail between Fort Scott, St. Paul, and Independence. And so they built a house there and started serving meals, selling some grocery stuff, flowers and that type of stuff. And like I said, Cherryvale hadn't started or was just getting started. So there weren't really grocery stores around. So people would stop and supply their stuff, their flour and their coffee and that type of stuff. And so they were there from 1871 to 1873. And so somebody would come in, sit down for a meal, and there were 4 of them, an old man, an old woman, and a young man and a young woman. And the young woman, Kate, was supposed to be pretty and very talkative and such. And so she would talk to them and ask them where they were going, where they were from. Because if they were local, they pretty much left them alone with the intent because they were afraid people would come looking for them. So if they were saying, well, I'm going to Texas to buy cattle or I'm going west to buy land, they figured they had money. And then she would, of course, signal to someone that was behind this curtain that they had divided their house by. They would hit them over the head and either kill them or slice their throat and drop them into a cellar below the table where they were sitting for a meal.
Wow.
And then take them out and bury them in their backyard.
But they robbed them. There was a purpose to the murders?
Yeah, so they would have taken any money that they had, and then somewhere, and that's always the question, is these people would have had horses, wagons, depending on where they were going and what they were doing. So they had to have taken their horses and stuff and somewhere to sell as well too. But they really that part of the story never comes out. They never really talked much about that. Yeah. And so it went on from 1871 until 1873, and there was a man. He was Mr. Longcore, who lived over south of Independence by where Little House on the Prairie is now. Yeah. And he had a little girl. His wife had died, so he was taking the little girl back east to his parents. And he rented or bought, I'm not sure what the story really is, a horse and buggy from a Dr. York, also that was a neighbor that lived over by him in Independence. And so he started on his way, and that would have been right after Christmas in 1872. Started on his way, and he was to let Dr. York know when he got to his parents. He never let him know. And somehow Dr. York got word that there was a horse and buggy that was similar to what he had sent Mr. Longcore on his way over to Oswego. So he went over there, looked at it, and said, yes, that was his horse and buggy. And so he knew something had happened to them. He went on to Fort Scott, where his parents lived, for a couple days, and then he started home. And then he didn't ever make it home.
Oh.
he had at least one brother that was more influential, that was in the military and had been in the Kansas legislature and stuff. So they raised the flag of, you know, Dr. York didn't make it home, something's happened, we're going to start searching homes, you know, go through this area, because we know they're disappearing in that area. And they had a meeting at the school that was by the Bender's house, and the Benders went to it, you know, and so they knew they were going to start searching. So it must have taken a few weeks, because a couple weeks later, people came by their house and discovered that they were gone. Turn on the lights, because I didn't get them turned on. And so when they discovered that they left their animals tied up without any food or water and stuff, and so they called the posse in, and of course they went in the house, which had been shut up for a week or two, and it was May, so it shouldn't have smelled very good. And
so they took off.
They took off.
Yeah.
They were gone.
They felt the heat, and they just, okay.
They left. And so when they went in the house, they discovered this trap door. And of course, when they opened it up, it had blood and stuff from where they had dropped people down in there. That's why then they picked up the house, because they thought maybe they had buried the bodies underneath there. They picked the house up and moved it. If you look at this picture, you can see the boards sticking out there.
Yeah.
So they lifted the boards up off whatever foundation it was on, probably just sandstone blocks on each corner, and moved it out of the way. But then they discovered that there weren't any bodies underneath the house. So I think evening was coming on, and they happened to step out of the house and kind of look out in the backyard, and they saw kind of some indentions. You know, how ground will settle after it's been dug up and such. Then they saw indentions. Now, while the Benders lived there, they kept their backyard tilled up, so you wouldn't see anything. But they'd been gone long enough, and the ground had dried, and so they could see these indentions. So they went out, stuck a wagon probe in one of them, and came off with body matter. So they dug up the body, and it was Dr. York.
Aww.
So the last person they killed was also the first person they found. So they found Dr. York, and then they identified him, and then they came back the next day and dug up 7 more. They found Mr. Loncourt and his little girl in a grave. So they found them.
Wow.
So they don't really know how many they killed. They just know that they found the 8 bodies there. They also found bodies that were out on the prairie that had the same type of wound in their head, you know, from a hammer and stuff.
Wow. Like far from there?
No, not far. Not really far. Just one was they found in the wintertime. It was probably, the ground was probably frozen. They couldn't bury him, so they just took him out on the prairie and left him thinking the animals would come along and get him. And one they found in a creek that they had dumped the body in there. So there was probably many more, but you just don't know how many.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
But they never did find them,
No,
the
they
Benders.
never found them. One story is that they traced the wagon. It had a special, the wheels on the back were offset to the front. So it left a certain pattern, and they tracked it to Thayer. They found the wagon there, and they found the Bender's dog tied up to it. And so when they talked to the railroad, they said, yeah, they remembered description of those type of people getting on the train. So,
and then that was it. They couldn't find him after that.
No, couldn't find him. Of course, other people around here, that their great-grandparents were here during that time. You know, they'll say, no, they had a posse that caught him and they killed him, and they didn't really get away. So no one knows what happened to him. Yeah,
but if they killed him, they would have been proud of that. I mean, I would hope so, you know, because they deserved it.
It was still a crime. It would have been still a crime to hang somebody.
Oh, yeah, back then, yeah, because
so
they would have had to been, that was 1871 and
73 is
73, so they would have had to try him in court then during that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we do have the hammers in here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the real hammers.
Let's see the hammers. Now, what is your name, ma'am?
Carol Staton.
Carol. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh.
So we do have the hammers. These hammers were picked up by this man here, Leroy Dick. He was a neighbor to the Benders. He was also some type of county official, and he thought the sheriff might want them. So he picked them up, saved them. The sheriff never collected them. He gave them, then they passed on down to his son, and then his son gave them to the museum.
Wow.
So they were picked up the day of when they found Dr. York. And one of the newspaper articles I read said that they did, when they found Dr. York's body, they matched the hammers to the hole in his head, so they could say, yeah, these were the murder weapons.
Oh, wow. The Bender hammers. Wow. Kate, John, Paul, and Ma. So they were the daughter and son, or was that the daughter and husband? Or
Well, so they portrayed themselves to be brother and sister and children of Ma and Pa. Now, whether they really were or not, I don't know. There's one book, this latest book that's out, this one, Hell Comes to Play. He does his story on more like a genealogy stuff. So he tracked them. In his version, he found them in Germany, and he actually found that Kate was a daughter, and John was a brother. I mean, based on what he has done here, he actually tracked them through Germany, into Chicago, into this area, and then he says that they went back to Germany. That's his story.
Wow.
What happened to him? He tracked them back to Germany.
Wow.
So no, that's his version of it. So other people thought that they were man and wife. They just didn't know.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They were only there a few years, so they don't even know where they came from.
No, well, he tracks them from Chicago area.
Oh, from Chicago, and then here. Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant afterwards.
Yeah, no, he tracks them from Chicago area to here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where he says they came from.
Oh, wow.
From Germany to that area, and that makes sense because a lot of the people that settled this area came from Germany, came through Illinois, and settled in Kansas. I mean, that was kind of the typical traffic flow of what you would do.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. That's just like but it's just sad. It's just like it's so unresolved.
Yeah. Well, and I think the story lingers today because it's an unsolved mystery.
Yeah, definitely. Now, who are these people up there?
Well, there's a story. So let's just say everything in here, other than the hammers and those nails, are just to give you a feel for what it would have, would have been that time period. Those pictures, when the museum celebrated its 50th anniversary, they had guest speakers, and one of the guest speakers they had was someone from the Youngers, and the Younger Gang. Have you heard of the Younger Gang? They were would have robbed trains and stuff, along with the Dalton Gang. I mean, the Younger.
Oh yeah, okay.
So she was a part of the Younger family. Well, anyways, she belonged to some kind of murder mystery club, online type thing. And someone that she corresponded with, they were talking about their relatives and how bad they were, and that lady said, well, my relatives were badder than yours, for sure. And that lady had a Bible that she wanted to get rid of. She didn't want it anymore. She wanted to get rid of it. So she sent it to this younger person. And when she went through the Bible, there wasn't any genealogy or any family history, which is what she was hoping for, I'm sure. But what fell out was 4 tintypes. One of the tintypes was that picture there, that couple there, and I'm just going to call her Mrs. Younger because I don't know what her name was. She believed that was Kate and John.
Really?
Based on the correspondence that she had with the lady that said, was talking about how bad her relatives were and that type of thing. But there's no proof. We have no proof, so we always just say, I tell that story. That's just it. I tell the story because it's kind of an interesting story.
That is an interesting story.
Yeah, because in there were 4 tintypes. There was that one, there was a picture of a small baby, and then there was, I'm trying to think what the other tintype was, maybe one of John and one of Kate by themselves. If they were really John and Kate. But, I mean, there is typical period to that time. Could it be? Maybe. We have no pictures of what any of the Benders look like. Everything you see, like out here, is just somebody's drawing of them. So you have no idea what they really look like. So could it be?
Right, yeah, maybe so.
Maybe not, or somebody else's bad relatives too.
Yeah, that's a really bad relatives. I wouldn't want the Bible either, or anything. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about this? Do you know who owned that hairpiece?
I don't know much. We don't know much about the hair wreath. I know that there was, before this museum had the hammers, there was a Bender Museum downtown. In 1961, the state of Kansas was celebrating their 100th anniversary. So they wanted each town to do something that represented your history. So Cherryvale picked the Benders and built a Bender cabin downtown.
Oh.
And that wreath was in that Bender Museum. And supposedly, if I look in this book, I should ever give up and footnote it. There is a picture in the book of a hair wreath, and it says, "Wreath woven out of child's victim's hair as displayed at the Bender Museum in Cherryvale, Kansas." So, you know, if I read this, that is the hair wreath. So, I don't know. We don't know. We tell the story.
So a child, how many, so when they found the bodies, it was just the one little girl?
Yeah.
And that could be her hair, maybe?
Could be. All I'm saying is could be.
They had different ways back then.
In fact,
take pictures.
There's in Kansas City, there is a museum that's a hair wreath museum.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I did see I just got an email here a couple days ago that the lady that owned it has passed away.
Oh, no.
And so her daughter, or granddaughter, one of the two, was wanting to disperse the hair wreaths out to any museum that, you know, would want them.
That would be nice. I mean, at least they're to have them, you know. Well, it would depend on who, you know.
Well,
they already got them.
A lot of people look at them and go, ooh, when they say that's a hair wreath. I mean, I marvel at how they managed to make them. I mean, I understand that, you know, I understand because, you know, we've got lots of the antiques of it's a little glass jar where you put the hair down in it and save it. And that was the purpose of it. They saved the hair.
They have like their DNA.
Yeah. Well, you saved it so you can make stuff out of the hair. You know, because human hair is, when you have enough of it, you make pincushion, stuff it with, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so you made hair wreaths, and that was the purpose of this. Right now, we clean off our combs and throw it away. They saved it.
Carol, you're full of information. You know your stuff. Boy, you do. I could talk to you all day. I better look around. I appreciate you coming and opening up for us so we can see everything.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you're welcome. Cherryvale's also the home of Vivian Vance, which was Ethel Mertz and I Love Lucy.
Her best friend?
Huh?
Was that Ethel
Ethel Mertz was, you know,
Lucy's best friend?
Lucy's best friend. She was born in Cherryvale.
Oh, nice.
And we also had Louise Brooks, who was a silent film actress. She was born here as well.
Oh, nice.
So we had two actresses to call our fame to.
And what year did it start? 1871?
1871.
1871. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of firsts in Cherryvale. The first glass factory. Cherryvale was the first city in the state of Kansas to have natural gas piped into your house.
Really?
For heat and for electricity.
In Kansas?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Kansas. Now, what was the railroad that came through?
Well, it ended up being the Santa Fe and the Frisco. So we had two railroads, two main railroads that came. One was going, Santa Fe went north and south. Frisco was going east and west. So it became a nice hub for business and also for travel. At one time, you had like 25 passenger trains a day that stopped in Cherryvale. And because if they were switching, and you know, they get off. We had nice hotels. You would get off, spend the night, get onto maybe the Frisco and go west. Then, so yeah. In fact, the depot. I don't know if did you still.
Well, we just came in. I didn't. You have your depot?
Yeah, well, let me show you. Okay. You would have drove if you came down Main. You would have drove past it.
I like the flower arrangements on the table. So cute.
They decided we should go from 4th of July. So this was the Santa Fe Depot. It was built in 1910. This was the second Santa Fe Depot, but that was built in 1910, and it's still used today.
Oh, wow.
It's right downtown, right as you go across the tracks to the north. The Southeast Kansas and Oklahoma line, it's a short line railroad, has it now, and they actually use it. They're there every day. And stuff.
Well, you know what? We came over the viaduct.
The bypass.
Yeah, the
I mean,
bypass, yeah.
yeah.
And there was a groundhog, 2 of them, just sitting there on the side.
Well, they used to have one right downtown, right across from the hardware store.
Uh-huh.
There was an empty lot there, and you would see the groundhog out there. Yeah. So yeah, we had this one, and then we had the Frisco Depot, which is there's a picture of the Frisco Depot, but it burnt down.
Oh, wow.
So
Look at all, boy, we're a lot busier then. Look at all the, well, that's an engine car there. Is that horse is pulling, or is that a wagon? I can't really tell.
there's a wagon. That one is a wagon, but that looks like maybe early cars there.
Wow. That's amazing.
And of course, we had the interurban. Have you ever heard of the interurban?
No?
Well, think of San Francisco streetcars. Essentially, it was an electric car, and it ran from Nowata, Oklahoma, up through Coffeyville, up through Independence, over through Cherryvale, and on to Parsons. And
That's it right there?
that's a sample of one of it.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And so for a nickel or 10 cents, you could ride from here to Independence. And I think there was, there's some, back here is our schedule that we opened up the other day.
The interurban.
Mm-hmm. So you can see, I mean, it started like at 6 o'clock in the morning from Cherryvale, and then you could have gone to all these different places, or you could have rode from Parsons to Coffeyville the different times. So it ran from 6 in the morning until like 11 o'clock at night.
Well, Jefferson, Kansas is on there.
Uh-huh.
We went through there today. There's just like a general store, and we went to Deering.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it ran from like 1913 until after World War II.
Wow.
You could ride. I mean, there was ladies in our church that would ride it to go to college in Independence. They would ride the interurban.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
Well,
we had good cheap transportation long before we had cars.
oh, well, why do you think they quit?
They weren't making any money.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Well, because after World War II, then everybody had cars, and you traveled. And who wants to ride through the countryside when you can get and ride to Independence in 10 minutes? So
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you, Carol.
One who popularized the hairdo and that. So she was a pretty lady. She was extremely risque.
Yeah.
She went at the age of 16. She went to New York to be in the Ziegfeld Follies as a dancer.
Uh-huh.
So her mother had to hire a chaperone to take her to go.
Oh, I bet.
So yeah, she was in some talkies. She was in a talkie with John Wayne and such, but primarily she was silent film.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love that one. Now, this is Ethel Mertz. She was the best, all from Cherryvale.
Uh-huh.
Look at you guys.
Yeah. They were actually born 3 years apart. Louise was born in 1906, and she was born in 1909.
Oh, so they knew each other.
Well, I think they're close neighbors, so they should have known each other. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, do you know did she come back home?
As far as I know, she did not. Now, she had a cousin that lived here in Joe just not too long ago, and she died.
Oh.
But she did not ever come back. Now, we have newspaper articles where she talked about Cherryvale when she would meet some of childhood friends somewhere else. She would, talk about it. But,
Oh, wow. Now, what about her? Do you know if she came home?
No, she did not have a good experience. I think she was molested as a child here in Cherryvale.
Oh, wow.
So she really didn't have. She had nothing good to say about Cherryvale. So no, she would never.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how she passed, or?
Oh, she was in New York and just old age. I mean, she died 1985. So she was,
Oh, 79?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
No, 80. She would have been.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
And she,
Wow.
she did not really care for Hollywood. She did not fit in well with Hollywood. And so after a few talkies, and she got out of that, I think she was a kept woman.
Oh, yeah.
For a while. And then she got to the point where she became a film critic or not theater critic and stuff. And she gained a little more popularity again in her older life.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Started.
Wait, the home of the Pledge of Allegiance,
yes.
too?
Yeah, well.
Oh, Frank Bellamy, yeah.
Frank Bellamy. And there's a big controversy between whether Frank Bellamy wrote it or whether Francis Bellamy wrote the Pledge of Allegiance. And for years, we really didn't talk much about it. But in 2020, during COVID, people were bored, and so they were doing newspapers.com. Do you do newspapers.com?
No.
Oh, you should get on and do newspapers.com.
No, what is that?
Well, it is all the old newspapers from, you can cross the United States, but if you live in Kansas, you can get it free by getting onto the Kansas State Historical Society. You can get all the Kansas newspapers. So you can go back and you can type in a keyword, like you could have put in Pledge of Allegiance and 18 and the other time frame, and it'll bring up articles out of the newspaper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I do research all the time on newspapers.com. If I want to find out about a person, I put their name in, and then I put in Cherryvale, or I put in Montgomery County, or I put in Kansas, and it'll bring up newspaper articles that have their names in there. Oh, yeah.
Well, who's putting the newspapers on there?
Well, the Kansas State Historical Society has copied all of these old newspapers.
Even the small towns?
Oh, yeah, because Thayer up here, which is, it's just you drive through Thayer. There's nothing there now, but they had a newspaper before Cherryvale did, and it's called the Thayer Headlight. And so you could get on, and I found stories in that Thayer paper about when Cherryvale was first started, and when the first hotel that was here, and when it burnt, and you get all kinds of stuff. You can lose yourself in newspapers.com forever if you like to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because any little stuff, if you want to talk about any subject, like, well, come on here. You see, like these clippings, like oil and gas wells in Cherryvale. I mean, that's an article that I took right off newspapers.com came from the Kansas Agriculturist, October 1, 1901. So I found it and just brought it out and made a JPEG out of it so I could add it in here.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. I do all kinds of research on newspapers.com. Well, anyways, the story was in 2020, they were doing, somebody was doing some research on the Pledge of Allegiance, and they discovered that in May of 1892, that the kids in Ellis County, Kansas, which is out around Hayes, were saying the Pledge of Allegiance, just like it was pretty much like it's written. Well, Francis Bellamy, the one who's always had the claim to writing it, he said he didn't write it until August of 1892. So they couldn't be saying the pledge if he hadn't already written it.
Right.
So Frank Bellamy said he wrote it before then.
Oh.
So that's why now we tell the story. Because that story hit the New York Times and the London Times, because all of a sudden it's like, here's 100 years later, you've got somebody saying, he didn't write the pledge. Now, we can't prove ours did, but now we can say that probably Francis didn't write it.
Yeah, and that is a perfect example how easily our history can be lost.
Yes.
So just a miswrite.
Yeah.
Or just someone wanting.
Fame.
Yeah.
Because, Frank Bellamy sent his version of the pledge to the Youth Companion. Francis Bellamy worked with the Youth Companion. It was published with an anonymous, name, and then Francis Bellamy said, "Oh no, I wrote this."
Oh, now were they related?
No.
Wow. So
but, our Frank Bellamy, he was in the Spanish-American War, came home with tuberculosis, died shortly after he came home, and he was from Kansas. And Kansas versus Francis Bellamy was from New York. So who's going to get the more credibility?
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Now, one more question. Do you have any old abandoned buildings? Are all your schools open here? Do you have any, you were talking about tuberculosis. Do you have any of those buildings? What were they, like a poorhouse, or do you have anything like that around?
We do have one grade school that is closed. That's still open. The building's still there. McKinley School is still open. Are still there.
And that's that one over there?
No, that's Lincoln. McKinley is, if you go straight on Main, like you're going out to the Highway 169.
Okay.
You'll go past it.
Okay.
And it was built in 1920 28. So that building is still there. And we have several buildings that are abandoned on the way past, as you'll see, a lot of brick buildings that are abandoned, that some of them they're working on, we hope.
Yeah, well, we'll get it documented because, like, I feel like apparently you guys are doing great with your history, but a lot of our small towns are just taking their buildings down and not really documenting them. So
we try. I mean, we just don't have any buildings left downtown. We've had several fires. We had, I think probably in 1970 we had a fire bug because we lost. And they were going to tear it down anyways.
Oh, yeah, we have to. Oh, there's your fire.
Huh?
Oh, wow. What are those? Your hotel?
Yes. I said we had all the train traffic, so we had beautiful hotels.
Oh, my goodness.
So this one, and it had fallen into disrepair and stuff, and they were getting ready to take it down. But in 70, that one burnt. We also lost a grain elevator in that fire. Then we had, I mentioned that we had, the fiberglass place. They had an explosion downtown that took out a big chunk of downtown. So yeah, this one, it was called the Leather Rock Hotel, but it's now the Cherryvale Bed and Breakfast. And it is still open.
Oh, nice.
These people have been working on it for 20 years. But they do have 5 or 6 nice rooms and such.
Oh, look at the little Wright's Cafe.
Oh, yeah, the white spot. Yeah. I will tell you this story since you're in the stories.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now this building is no longer here. It's been replaced with People's State Bank. But this was called the Rush Department Store. The Rush Department Store was considered the Saks Fifth Avenue of the Midwest. Because the man that owns the hardware store, his grandmother worked there in 1916. And she said that at any given day, you would have 50 or more ladies that would ride the train from Kansas City or Tulsa so that they could shop at the Rush because they had their own millinery person, their own hats and stuff. They brought all their dresses in from New York City. So, and the granddaughter of the man that owns the hardware store, the daughter, said that, the Chicago mob would send their girlfriends, their mistresses, by train down here to shop.
Oh, wow.
If I could go back in history just one day, I would go back to this store.
Oh,
because because you can see these windows, and these great big glass paned windows would be like Macy's.
Oh, yeah. So you can see the shoes in that.
Yeah, she would have a display. In fact, see, this is a display that they had done of swimsuits. So this was their swimsuit display. And they're probably 4th of July type, themed and stuff.
Oh, they're so cool. Look at the leggings.
Oh, yeah.
Why did they swim with those?
Well, because you had to be covered up.
Oh, yeah, I forget.
Yeah.
Now you can be naked and swim.
Yeah.
Practically, right?
Practically. I mean, when you got one just coming up between your butt, no. So, that was modest, so such. But, yeah, so each of those windows would have been a display window for them, and it was on the corner, so you had window displays all the way around.
Oh, that would have been so cool. You know what? Like, if we time travel, I'll meet you there, Carol.
Okay. Yeah, because I would love to go back there and buy a dress. And
look at here. You had a bottling company.
We had a bottling company.
Not just the blown glass, but the...
Yeah, we had a bottling company. Yeah. The hardware store up there celebrated their 100th anniversary, all as far as being in the same family.
Oh, wow.
It's always been it actually, sometime when it's open, you should come back because it's like it is walking back into the past. I mean, because they still have the elevator that you go like this to the second floor and the floors. But they've been in business for 100 years and the same family.
Well, you did have a lot of hotels. There's another one.
That was the Cottage Hotel. Oh, we had lots of other hotels as well too.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I like this Rush store. Now, what happened to it? It burned too?
No, it was in business until about the 1920s. Probably Depression got to it.
Yeah.
I guess. And then it was used as other buildings, and then finally the bank bought it in 1972 and tore it down and put a new building there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In September of 1925, that's how
Uh-huh.
much children, students were in Cherryvale. There's all 5 of these pictures taken on the same day.
Wow.
So this was the high school here, and then these are grade schools.
In 1925.
Uh-huh. And that doesn't include the Catholic school. It would have been, so there were more kids at the Catholic school.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's the central school. Wow, that's amazing. Now, which one is closed? The central school?
Yeah, it's closed and gone.
And gone.
In fact, all of these buildings are gone.
All of these school buildings.
Yeah, all these school buildings are gone. They've been replaced. Because this would have been central school here.
So this one has African Americans in it, so it wasn't segregated.
We were never
there.
segregated. Our
Oh,
schools
that's
were never
awesome.
segregated. I did find an article where some people wanted to, and the school board said no because we don't have enough kids and enough money to have their own school. So no, our schools were never segregated.
That's
In fact,
awesome.
In 1960, which would have been, civil rights time, our valedictorian was a black lady.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So no, our schools were not ever segregated. It did burn.
Masonic Lodge. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's something I like to get in the videos because almost every town has them, especially a town like this, that had a lot of money and a lot of, especially railroad towns always have them.
And when back then you had organizations. People don't join organizations anymore.
Right, yeah. They just
used to have, from 1895 to 1939, they had old soldiers reunions for Civil War veterans in the park. And they would come for a whole week, and they'd set up tents for them. And then they would have parades, and they would have programs in the afternoon and programs in the evening. So these old guys could reminisce, I guess. So these are some pictures of that. This one, I love this picture. Taken in 1913. That was a flag corps.
Oh, wow.
Associated. It was called the Women's Relief Corps, and it was associated with the old soldiers. And so they would do an hour-long flag ceremony, dressed up and march around and do the flags. The top one is the International Odd Fellows, and that one is 1914. And that was during the middle of the week. It wasn't on a weekend. And they were celebrating their 95th anniversary of the International Odd Fellows. So they all came together in Cherryvale for a day of celebration.
Oh, wow.
And I think, if I remember right, they said about 3,000 people came for that,
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they said that the reason it was so big is because they had just opened up the, interurban that I was telling you about.
Uh-huh.
And so people could ride the interurban from Coffeyville, Independence, and Parsons. They didn't have to drive their horse and buggies over. And so it was huge. Yeah. I marvel at this picture just because in 1913, they took this picture and you can see the faces on these people. When you get up close to it, you can really see the faces. And I'm thinking, how in the heck did they do that back then so well?
Yeah, they did. Over at Big Brutus, have you been to Big Brutus?
Uh-huh.
They have a lot of the mining pictures, and I've taken pictures of them, and I've spent way more time than I should just zooming in and looking at them, thinking, what were they thinking? Did they want to go home? And there's one picture that has like a woman. There was all these, all real dressed and nice. Everybody's like, and she's all, like, why is she there?